sharing about the nature of learner, the nature of teacher, and the learning environment. These are important elements. These are important elements in our educative process, because without the teacher, there's no learning. Without the learners, no, there's no also learning and transfer of learning from the teacher. And there's a so-called um, the learning environment, no, conducive learning environment. There's effective and productive learning takes happen. So these are very important because according to Donald Quickshank and Donald Hifley, argue that there are many kinds of good teachers, good learners, and effective classroom learning environment. So some of the effective on producing high level of students' performance and others are good for other reasons. So to increase the performance of our learners, of course, the teacher should be credible, innovative, um, resourceful, effective, efficient, and everything. So in that end, there is an increased performance of learners in the teaching learning process. So a concern for teacher effectiveness also is part on the teacher's attributes, which is the largely follows the department standards or even in the national standards and assessment designed to hold, no, wherein the schools, the regional office, the division office, the schools, and even the teachers are accountable for the student performance on the designated outcomes. We teachers and future educators, we are accountable for the increase of the student performance based on the designated outcomes. Like for example, in our end, as teachers in the field of physical education and health, we are accountable, ladies and gentlemen, to increase the performance of our learners in terms of technical, tactical skills, in terms of knowledge, and in terms of of values and even attitudes for our learners. Because we need to know that one of the so-called outcomes to our learners. Because define, ladies and gentlemen, what every student should know designed to be aligned with our standards. An assessment would measure the extent of the students achieve on the designated outcomes. So um, it is very no necessary. It is very necessary for us to know that the teaching process is should be effective. The effective teaching, according to research in physical education, what's largely related to work being done in the classroom. So each one of the research, like for example, by Good and Buffy, no, it was a counterpart in the research and the teaching physical education. So even in physical education, it was quickly shifted from more indirect teaching characteristics. So wherein the teachers deliver the skills properly, the consistent with direct teaching, with the task-oriented teacher, the structured, and even the learning experiences of the student, giving the activity, and even active monitoring and feedbacking to our learners that would increase the performance of our learners. In that end, that would give quality learning to our students. Nagklase ko. Nagklase ko. Dito lang, online class. Text lang. Now, so in that end, we can now see the product of measures that within the most of the on the field focus on the skills and learning, because we all know that we want effective learning no? um, we want effective learning to our learners, because I want also to share on the research that in physical education and motor learning identified, there are several ways with a strong relationship to student motor skill performance. That's why in teaching physical education and health, it is very important the teacher possess good quality skills before transferring of learning to his or her students. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So in that
Yes,
end,
sir.
if you wish to transfer learning to our learners with with skills that we have, knowledge that we have in our field of specialization, but it was also um, be partnered with the so-called learning effective learning environment, which is conducive to learning. Because if you wish to have this so-called academic learning time, no, particularly in the physical education, if we wish to develop the motor skills of our learners and increase their skills performance, you need to possess a good learning environment. Like for example, if you want to teach them particularly in volleyball, of course, the learning environment should be focused or congruent on what you are teaching all about. If you teach about the skills in volleyball, all people should have the same skills in the sports that you are teaching. Now, so it was being mentioned by one of the researchers, no, Sermon of 1991, that the meaning of the amount of time students spend in the class in if we look into the report of Habien's group, the learner, the nature of the learner. Of course, you want to increase their cognitive faculties, no? With their imagination, with their memory, intellect, and of course their senses. So in these cognitive faculties, you need to inject all equipped with cognitive as their ability, as their attitude, interest, family, cultural background, and attitudes that would mix together what is cognitive and affective faculties that you are taking into consideration. Of course, through the enhancement of the cognitive, we anchored on the study of Gardner's multiple intelligences theory with the verbal intelligence, verbal linguistic, logical, mathematical, spatial, bodily kinesthetic, musical, interpersonal, interpersonal, and naturalist. This this position of Gardner's multiple intelligences will help improve our learners into their cognitive and even in their appetitive faculties. So in this end, we need to consider developing our learners despite that they are not equally footed in this multiple intelligences by Gardner's theory, at least they have this uh, highest to lowest level of this multiple intelligence. Now, you need to consider also on the skills of our learners, especially in our subject, because for the life example, the 40 learners that you have in your classroom, not all of them are bodily kinesthetic. Okay, so you need to consider what is the highest strand of your learners in your classroom. So in that end, you can identify or you can mix some strategies in your classroom which is suited to the needs of our learners. Like for example, the teacher is bodily kinesthetic. So every time of his or her class will undergo dances, no? But 40 learners, there are only 8 learners who are bodily kinesthetic. How about the 32 learners? So they need to consider on that so that there is an effective and collaborative learning in the classroom. Okay, so with that, considering the styles also. So of course the teacher should be a licensed teacher, professional teacher that would possess dignity and high moral values as well as technical and professional competence that would address the needs of our learners. Okay, so of course the learning environment, no, the learning environment should be conducive to learning. So like for example, in our end amidst pandemic this time we cannot uh, go to the classroom setting, but we are now in our virtual class. But of course, no, of course, how about the condition of the physical condition of the classroom? So that would be questions needed to answer the needs and the totality of the elements of the teaching learning process. So this three nature of elements that would take place into the process of teaching and learning in physical education and health are very, very important and significant to the contribution of the total quality education. Okay? So I understood everyone.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes,
I hope
sir.
that you really understand of what I am talking about for you to know the 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 importance, no, the importance of this nature. Now this time, uh, I would like to present because I have a meeting, no. Nakita ninyo group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So um, please, group 1, please select your leader.
Ahan, sir.
Okay, si Ahan ang leader sa group 1. How about group 2?
Ransu, sir.
Ranso. How about 3?
Habin, sir.
Abien.
Ay,
4, Obidencio. Ang 5,
Sapyo, sir.
okay, Sapio. Now, what you are going to do, ako lang isend ni sa group chat na to. Okay, what is your activity? Okay. What you are going to do is to make a promotional video, no? Promotional video which will be submitted on Monday. Okay. Promotional video in the school where the learner, the teacher, and the learning environment plays an important role in the educative process. Okay? Hello, are you listening?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
You are going to
Yes,
make
sir.
a promotional video on talking into the elements of teaching learning wherein the learner, the teacher, and the learning environment will be focused on. Okay? So the video will be submitted on Monday during our class. So Monday, so yun ang i-upload in YouTube. Okay? So you just give me the link in YouTube. So make it
Okay,
sure
sir.
that, okay, make it sure that the video will look into the elements that you are talking about, wherein the three elements of teaching learning will be seen in your video. That is your quiz for this week. Uh, the video presentation, that is 100 points. Okay, so please group leader, please take charge your group, and please lang please rate your members. I will ask also your leader to rate the members based on their participation and cooperation in your group activity. Okay, so I will no longer ako'y meeting. So thank you so much for listening, everyone. And please,
Thank you, sir.
for those group members, leader, please make your let your group mates discuss later on. So katong mga five ka leaders, mag-meeting mo with your group mates with regard to your assignment. Okay?
Yes,
So
sir.
once again, thank you so much and goodbye, everyone.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Bye,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir. God bless, sir. Bye, sir.